And we're live. We're live. For those of you guys who are watching, we have no fire tonight. I want to apologize about that. Typically, I do them outside, which is what we were going to do, but because of the wind, we're not outside. Anyway, so this is Rich Bisaga. This is the owner of the JTLK Project Lawn 2019, and this is his son Max. You may have seen him in his videos. You may have seen him in our videos. He's been helping us do applications. So just giving you guys an idea who they are. Let me just get set up here, and then we'll get into the show here. So
thanks for having us on your show, Jake. I appreciate it.
yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So you guys know the drill here. This show, there's not really any, we don't really have any format or anything. We just go based off what you guys say in the comments, what you guys say goes type of thing. So it's very open format, very loose. Let me just open this up here. All right.
Max, you got anything to say?
You don't have to say it yet. I was just letting people know because a lot of people have been here now for like 10 minutes. I just wanted to let them know, and then we'll get into the actual. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Action.
All right. Frame looks good. How's the picture, guys? What do you guys think? I know we're having a little bit of issues here with the backdrop and all, but that was just my attempt in trying to get the lawn to show back there because we're literally at the Bisaga's house right now looking at the project lawn. I gotta say, it's looking really good. So anyway, assuming that everything is good, I'm gonna go ahead and start the show. What's going on, guys? I'm Jake the Lawn Kid. Welcome back to another episode of Lawn Fires, where the lawns are green, the fires are hot, and the questions are engaging. Thank you for coming back for another Friday. So for those of you guys who don't know, this is basically a weekly live show that I do every Friday night called Lawn Fires, where I sit by a bonfire. And clearly tonight I don't have a bonfire because of the weather conditions. But anyway, I sit by a fire and make an effort to answer your lawn questions in more of an intimate way. So that's basically what this show is. It's open format, sitting by a fire, answering all your most frequently asked lawn questions. So with all that being said, let's get into the show here. What kind of questions you got? So let's see what we got here. So first off, while we kind of let people come in, let me just introduce you guys. This is Rich Bisaga. This is the owner of the project lawn that I'm doing with Alan here. So say hello, Rich.
Hello, guys. Thanks for having me.
So basically, I don't have a whole lot on the agenda to really talk to Rich about. In fact, I didn't really write an agenda. We're just going to kind of go through and see what happens. And by the way, we got Max here too. But we're just going to go through and see what happens and see if you guys have any questions that you'd like to ask me or ask Rick in regards to, you know, caring for the lawn, fertilizing it, mowing it, all that stuff, because there's so much that Rich does behind the scenes for us, especially since he's the homeowner. He has to deal with the daily struggles and all that other stuff. So with all that being said, let's get into the questions. Here's a good one. Pop Music says, what do you think of the project lawn? So I have quite a few opinions here. So when I first started working with your lawn, I gotta say, man, I was not very, what's the best word for it? I was a little like, you know, this will be easy. And then as I started working on it more and more, I came to realize that, wow, man, the slopes you have, they're steeper than you think.
The contour of the yard is challenging.
Yeah, exactly. It's it makes things really, really difficult as far as mowing and fertilizing. Like those of you guys who've been watching the videos know that Alan and I, when we would come do our fertilizer treatments, we'd fall down the hill. So really, I gotta say it's a nice lawn, you know, especially considering that we've come this far in a short amount of time. But we do have some challenges that we have to face here, but there's not really much we can do about it, but just continue to, you know, learn from it and grow.
She's saying that she can't see.
I can't see.
What are you talking about?
Like it's pretty dark.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
You're watching it?
Yeah.
You know what, we can move it to the
lights? No, you gotta turn it on.
Yeah, people are saying the same thing, like the lighting's just bad.
Maybe we gotta get closer to the door.
I'm sure if we turn,
I think because the back is so
Ethan,
light.
you want to be in?
I think that might work. Hold on. How's that?
Next, hold on.
Probably have to turn this thing around completely.
Do you think put it over here so the light would...
That's fine. That's okay. We just put your base on here.
Alright, we got it.
let's move over here. So, first time filming down here, I was hoping that the backdrop wouldn't, affect the backdrop so much. Okay, let's get into some questions here. So I hope that lighting's better. Let me know in the comments what you think. The exposure's kind of but there's really nothing we can do about it. So let's get into some questions here. Going to put any ringer down on the project lawn? That's a good question because you guys know that one of the things we've been preaching as far as the traditional sections we've been treating is that we are possibly going to be using other organic fertilizers like Ringer, Lawn Restore to kind of help introduce some different, what's the best word for it? To introduce some different bios into the soil and things like that. So that'll probably be coming up later. But in the meantime, we're going to continue using the Milorganite monthly at the 0.5 pound rate. So that'll be interesting. And what else we got here? What's up from Chicago? Pedro Salas says, did a walk through my front lawn. There's something that looks like crabgrass. Can that be already, or can it be surviving from last year? This is a great question, Pedro, because I had the same issue, but then I came to realize after doing a little further research it's not crabgrass, because crabgrass isn't going to germinate until late May, early June timeframe. It's not going to be fully mature till that point. So if you're seeing anything that looks like crabgrass, you're most likely going to have what is called quackgrass, which kind of looks like crabgrass, but it's a little bit more of a hardier plant. It's a perennial, comes back year after year, and it's harder to kill. So if you're wondering what that is, it's called quackgrass, and as far as control, there's really nothing you can do about it as far as chemicals go, except for glyphosate, which that's not something I'm willing to do, but definitely as far as... So glyphosate, for those of you guys who don't know, like this is what I'm talking about. Rich is a novice with this stuff. So glyphosate, it's a...
That's why I have the pro.
It's a non-selective herbicide, meaning it'll kill anything green, so your grass too. So if you use a product like that, it'll kill everything no matter what it hits. So you want to make sure that you're careful with the weed control you choose. And so what am I trying to say here? So no glyphosate unless that's a risk you're willing to take, and possibly do some overseeding once fall time comes around. What else we got here? What's the best way to control Poa annua after it emerges during the springtime? This is a great question. So Poa annua, it looks kind of like perennial rye and bluegrass. It comes up, it germinates in the fall, and it overwinters, and then it'll mature in the spring, and then it'll die in the summer. And because of its life cycle, there's really nothing we can do for it post-emergently. I believe you can use Tenacity on it. Tenacity is kind of an all-around good weed control. It'll allow you to prevent and control certain things post-emergently without hurting your seed, if that's something you want to do in the spring. So that's something I would definitely consider. But as far as controlling POA right now, your best bet is to just let it die out. And if your POA problem's that bad, consider a pre-emergent application in the fall. Again, that would be either our prodiamine or our dithiopyr. Now, Aiden here in the chat, who's my moderator, if you can leave a link in the description below, domyown.com prodiamine. Put that down in the fall. That'll provide you about 4 months of control. And then once we get to the spring, we'll want to put down a spring application to hedge our bets against crabgrass. Now, keep in mind, because you are going to use a pre-emergent, you're not going to want to do any spring seeding, especially if you're using prodiamine, because of the chemistry of the product, it'll end up hurting your seeds. That's something you want to be careful with. What's another thing I'm going to mention here? Now, there are products like Tenacity that I just mentioned a couple minutes ago, but the issue with Tenacity is that if you're going to use it, you're going to have to reapply so frequently because it only has a residual of like 6 weeks. So it's very important that if you're going to choose a product like Tenacity so that you can do spring seeding in conjunction with POA and crabgrass pre-emergent, that you do apply frequently because you only have a residual of 6 weeks. Hope that answers your question there. I know I went a little off, but you get the idea. All right, so any questions for Rich here, the owner of the house? I'm sure he's got some stories to tell a little bit. For those of you guys who kind of want to get to know the story behind this house or the yard, any questions, be sure to ask them below. Let's see what we got here. Beauty of a house design, Rashid says. Rashid says he likes the house design. SFL spotter, it's due to the, oh yeah, everybody's asking about the, Did it rain too much after I threw down pre-emergent? Andrew Shelter, can you give me an idea of what weather conditions you're dealing with, and I'd be more than happy to answer your question. Rashid, love the woodlot area too. Yeah, man, it's really beautiful out here. I gotta say, Rich,
Thank you.
I
Thank
really, it really is nice out here, right? Because not only do you get to enjoy the beauty of a nice lawn, but you also get to enjoy, you know, the beauty of nature around you, and it kind of takes you away from things for a bit. So it's really therapeutic as far as the work side of things go. Oh yeah, always have light facing. Yeah, everybody. I still have comments in here because one of the things I do when I do these, I scroll through comments and people are often asking why the lighting's bad. Well, that's because I'm scrolling through here. Oh yeah, hey Jake, honest opinion, Milorganite or Ringer? Listen, I'm only going to say this, and I'm going to say this once. They're both good products, and they both nurture the soil in a different way. And because of that, it's a good idea that you use them interchangeably throughout your program to make sure that you're getting some different biologics into your soil to kind of help nurture it in different ways. Because, you know, the analysis on Milorganite's different. It contains 6% nitrogen, 4% phosphorus, and no potassium. And getting some Ringer in here and there, especially during the dry months in the summer at a low rate of about 0.5 pounds per thousand, that'll give you about a half pound of nitrogen as well as some potassium in there, which is good for building cell structure in the plant. Now, I know Rich is probably... Rich has no idea what I'm talking about.
I'm blown away.
Yeah, he is blown away. I'm just answering some questions here, but yeah, Rich is completely blown away. He has no idea what I'm talking about. He's a little bit
It's
of
all
a
right, though. You're
novice.
the expert.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's what I need out here, right?
Exactly.
And that's why it's doing so well.
That's why the yard looks good. Eric Von Whittle. I used Ringer for the first time about a month ago, and it turned my St. Augustine a healthy shade of green. Yeah, you know, as we always say, Milorganite will give you a blue-green, whereas Ringer will give you a true green. Because the idea with Milorganite is it contains products like iron in it. The iron will help kind of give you that bluish green, whereas the Ringer contains potassium that'll give you kind of a, you know, an emerald green color, if you will. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and take a break from the chat for a second because I know a lot of you guys know Rich has been here for a little bit. I want to go ahead and talk to Rich a little bit. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing great.
Great. So is there anything you want to tell us about the lawn? Like any backstories, anything that, you know, how long have you been here?
So we've been here for 2.5 years now. Last year, the beginning of last year was the year that we started the seed, and I started it on my own, getting the yard graded to where it needed to be, and just threw the seed on there, which it took some, but not enough, not like Jake did. It's really taken off now. I can't wait for the first good rain and some warm weather, and I think it's really going to green up and fill in. It'll be great. I need him to do the backyard now, though.
Yeah. So here's another thing. I'll never forget when before we were doing this project lawn, me and my dad, Silverback, as you guys know him, Silverback Gorilla.
Yep, Sullivan.
So we were shopping in the store, and we met with each other, and Bisaga was telling me about, hey, you know, Jake, my lawn is looking thin. I'm going to go ahead and do some seeding right now. And I'm like, what, dude? It's the middle of July. You don't want to do that. And, you know, Bisaga with his ego over here, you know, because I'll admit it, he does have a little bit of an ego. You'll know that when you meet him. But for those of you guys who probably don't know this, when I say that to Rich, I'm just playing with him. But anyway, we're in the store. He's like, oh, I'm seeding. I don't care what he says. I'm just going to seed. And I'm like, all right, fine, do that. But you're not going to have luck once those hot temperatures hit you and your seed diminishes. And here we are, about 7-8 months later.
And you convinced me, so I didn't do it.
That's good.
So I held off, and it's turned out great.
And now your lawn is our project lawn of the 2019 lawn season.
It's beautiful.
It's great.
Beautiful.
Jake, I put down my first application of fertilizer on Sunday with a 20% chance of rain. Well, it poured for over an hour. My yard has some hills and slopes. Did everything get washed away? Should I reapply? Derek Broker, this is a great question. In fact, this is an issue we're dealing with here at Rich's house because he has that giant incline in the front yard. And as far as the slope, I'm not really too confident about granular products staying there just because of the fact that we're on such a steep slope. So at this point, I'd probably want to resort to a liquid program, as the liquids are, you know, more aimed at going into the foliage of the plant instead of just, you know, settling in the ground and waiting for the rain to put them in or possibly wash them away. So if you're considering a program for a heavy slope, liquid is the way to go. You guys know I've been working with Green County Fertilizer. They make the next products. Really great way to go. You guys know that I'm actually doing a full-on liquid program at my house. So if you want to follow that and get some insight to the liquid products and how they work, then you can feel free to check that out. In fact, Aiden, if you would like, can you leave a link to my video called The Next Step, Episode 1. It's the most recent one on the channel where I kind of introduce people to what I'm doing. I'll be sure to make a playlist for that one soon. Stay tuned. Sorry about that. Let's see what we got. Oh yeah, where is Silverback? He was here a couple minutes ago.
He's showering because he just got done getting swollen.
He was getting jacked.
I went to grade school with Jake's dad, and I've known Sullivan pretty much all my life. So, and we're like best friends. So.
Yeah. It really is a great story because a lot of people, like, I go to school and then I remember for your son Andrew, they were showing for his cancer, which by the way, I'm glad he's doing well. He's gotten through that.
Yes,
they were showing ads for that, and then when I would tell people, like, that's my God family right there, they'd be like, really? It's just a small world, man. It's amazing how we all know each other and all that. It's amazing.
Very blessed.
Very blessed that I get to know great people like Rich and his family. Just awesome people.
Vice versa.
Oh, here's a great question. It's Gore-Tex asks, how many acres do you have?
So there's 5 acres,
Mm-hmm.
and it's probably a total of 5 acres. It was 6 acres, and I had to subdivide, and so I had to name it. I had to do a subdivision, and in doing that, I had to name it. So it's named. It's a 2-lot subdivision called Bisaga Woods, and there's probably there's some wetlands in there. So there's probably I'm guessing roughly maybe 3 acres of woods and wetland, and probably about 2 acres of grass.
I'm going to correct you on that because I measured your entire yard. That's about 3/4.
Okay, how far am I off?
I think what you mean to say is the entire lot, as far as the driveway and the lawn and the house net. That's probably 2 acres, but the lawn itself, not including the house, about a good.
Well, I'm adding what we're adding on to it too. The
Oh.
backyard.
Are you going to extend the backyard?
Yes, yep. I'm gonna extend the side by the driveway.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
We also have some future lawn seeding projects we might be doing out by the pool later this year. So you'll stay tuned for that, because for those of you guys who've been watching the playlist, you guys know that Rich he got a swimming pool in the backyard, and because of that kind of backtracked all the projects that we were going to do as far as the area in the back over there. So that's going to be what this year's all about, is getting this area of the lawn thicker and more established, but also kind of kicking things off over there on that side, and just getting it started. So we got
a lot of work that has to be done in the back.
Yeah, we got a lot of good stuff coming. Rich, did it smell after the Milorganite app? Did you smell anything?
I did not.
Well, he's in the woods, so he smells.
But it's in the woods,
stuff.
yeah. It's the wind blows freely out here, so.
Yeah. I can understand that. Jake, you guys should show us the lawn. Yes, Dave Bellafleur, if that's how I pronounce your name. I'm really bad with names. I would love to show you the lawn right now, but the problem is if I take this camera off the tripod, it just has a reputation of stopping. And because of that, I got to reconnect and all that. And that's just not a problem I'm willing to take, so we got to be careful. I would love to show the lawn to you, maybe in an update over the weekend when I show you the liquid applications I was doing over here. But other than that, I can't really show you right now because it will ruin the camera. Anyway, Rashid, used Milo for the first time. Thank you, LCM, for just the tips on the $9.99 Gus Box price. Yeah, Gus Box, they're good people over there. I don't know if any of you guys who live here in the region, I don't know if you guys know Luke, but Luke, he actually drove by my house once and said, "Hey Jake, what's going on, bro? How you doing?" He's a really cool guy, man. He's down to earth, just awesome guy, passionate about what he does. So Luke, if you're watching this, much respect to you, brother. Sean McLaughlin, Milo equals blueberry urinal cake smell. Okay, so let me explain this to Rich. So basically, when you put down Milorganite, which is a product we put on your yard, it's a biosolid, so it's made from human poop, right?
Yep, I think you told me that.
Yeah, so it has kind of a nice smell to it. Like it smells like blueberry pie. has kind of a blueberry pie kind of taste to it. So we have the saying for that. We say it smells like success.
Okay.
So that's something that came from my good buddy Alan, the lawn care nut. By the way, if you're on here, buddy, I don't know where you're at, but I'm sure you'll be on here busting some balls in a minute, like you usually are. So, and I'm sure you'll say hi to Rich too, because you're genuine like that. But anyway, let's see what we got here. Keith Wilmot. Hey Jake, I have a question about laying pre-emergent down around the area that has been seeded. Is that possible? Yes. Now, as I mentioned, you want to be careful on the product you use. As I've talked about, make sure the product you're using contains active ingredient methotrone, aka Tenacity. Great product if you plan to do seeding in the spring. However, the reason I don't recommend that as primary, the reason I don't recommend that as a a full-on pre-emergent type of product is because you only get about 6 weeks of residual out of that, and because of that you have to frequently reapply. But you do get the advantage of being able to seed without it harming your seed. So it's very important that if you're going to use a product like Tenacity to allow yourself to seed in the spring, that you keep applying every 6 or 7 weeks to make sure that you keep that 4 to 5 month period of efficacy to hedge your bets against crabgrass. Eric Von Whittle, Milorganite doesn't have an offensive smell. It has an odor that lasts for a day, but not that bad. Yeah, man, it really is great too, because I did think it did smell weird at first, but then as you used it, I kind of got used to it. It kind of does smell like blueberries are fruit. Yes, it does. Pop music. Anything else for Rich here, guys? Rich is just sitting here patiently.
I'm here. I'm listening. Very interesting.
Yeah, I don't want you guys to think that it's kind of. I don't want you guys to think it's kind of awkward or anything. It's just Rich is, like I said, Rich is just a novice, so he's not much of a lawn guy. So if anything comes up in the chat that you want to ask Rich about as far as the lawn goes, feel free. I happened to go out of town this week back to Tampa, and the soil temps happened to rise to 55 this week. It then dropped a day in the 40s, and now back up. Can I still put down pre-emergent? Now, you guys know this is actually a strategy that Alan and I have been talking about when we put down our first pre-emergent application here at the project lawn, and that is the leading up to strategy. So the way you do that is, number one, you use a physical soil thermometer, and you take a measurement of where your soil temperatures are in the middle of the day. And if they're peaking 50 to 55, you're good. Now, another thing you want to do is, even though the soil temperatures are hitting 55, you want to go to the greencast tool and see where temperatures historically average around 55 in the past. So in our instance, we applied March 29th, and historically, based on the past 5 years, according to the greencast tool, temperatures will be averaging around 55 in about 3 to 4 weeks from that window. And because of that, the window's opening, you're good to go and put down your application of pre-emergence. So Sean McLaughlin, if you do that and you notice that your soil temperatures are peaking 55, you check the greencast tool, and you're 3 weeks away from the 55 average, you're good. Go ahead and apply your pre-emergent. By the way, if you want more detail on this, Aiden, can you link my buddy Sean here to the Project Lawn playlist, or at least the video I did last week telling him all about the leading up to strategy and the Milorganite applications, just to kind of give him a little more in depth and some visuals. I'd really appreciate that. So I hope that answers your question, Sean McLaughlin. Again, look at the bottom of the chat for more details. RV not 111. Jake, thanks for answering my question about corn gluten pre-emergent apps. What are your thoughts on corn gluten? I've never used it before, so I can't really give you a full opinion on it. Now, maybe that might be something I'll have to do in the future, but until then, I will get back to you, Rivnot 111. But in the meantime, prodiamine is the way to go. Where's the LCN tonight? I don't know. Probably sleeping. Why Aunt and Uncle own the Ace Dyer anyway? Talk to you later, Jake. Alright, see you later in Sportex. He's still recovering from miloing that hill. That's funny. Yeah, because basically when Alan and I were here applying, he tried to do it on that hill, and he ended up falling down and whatnot. I got it on video and everything. It was funny.
I think it rained that day though, a little bit before that, didn't it? So it was a little slippery.
No, it didn't rain. It was actually nice, but what happened is it ended up raining later that night.
Okay.
So we were perfect. Oh, here's a great question. Jake, this is a good one for Rich. Rich, how did you meet Jake and Alan? you know,
Through Silverback. I've gone to school with Silverback since, oh my gosh, we grew up together. So
childhood
yeah,
friends.
that's my godson. So
So that's how we know each other. How do I get rid of moss? Kimber 9, this is a great question. This is actually something I'm dealing with in my backyard at the moment in the shaded areas. Now, I know I've said in streams past it's not really a problem I deal with, but because of the fact that what's the best way? But because I don't really pay attention to the backyard that much until this year, I really haven't noticed it. But now that I'm paying attention, I'm gonna start treating the backyard and bringing it back to the best it can be. I'm starting to realize that I have a really bad case back there, and I'm actually going to be going through on how I'm going to get rid of it. But from what I've heard from some helpful people here in the chat, I believe it's iron sulfate. The product is called iron sulfate. That'll kind of help eliminate. That'll help eliminate the moss in your lawn. Now, if any of you guys would like to, if any of you guys would like, any of you guys who know, leave some links to some products in here, some resources. I'd appreciate it. Oh, here's a good one. Sorry if it was asked, but what does Rich do for work? Chad Fleming asks.
So I'm a team manager for Ford Motor Company. So I for Chicago Assembly Plant in Hagbush, Illinois. We build the Explorer. We have the 2020 launch going on right now. But I manage people.
Yeah, that's great. Also, that's another thing I wanted to talk to you guys about, because one of the biggest controversies we've been getting, especially since we've been working with Rich for a while, and you guys have seen the struggles we've gone through due to time balancing and all that stuff with the project here. You guys have noticed that we've had a couple of days, especially in the fall, where I'd come back and the lawn was full of leaves, and then a lot of you guys were leaving comments like, "This guy, you're going to put in all this work for this guy, and he's not going to take care of your yard. What's the point of putting in all this work when he's just going to let it fall to waste?" And here's what you guys need to realize: when you're saying stuff like that, you guys are dead on wrong, because it's not that Rich doesn't care, but it's that Rich doesn't preach or teach or practice lawn care in the same way we do. Now, Rich and my dad actually they were greenskeepers on a golf
Yeah, we
course.
used to
at
work
one
on a
time.
golf course.
Yeah,
Ago,
exactly. They were greenskeepers at a golf course, but they may have had knowledge on the golf course, but it's actually been a while since they've reviewed the basics, and because of that, they don't, you know what I'm saying? They don't review lawn care like, say, Alan and I do, so they don't know. In fact, if you're going to blame anybody for that, you should blame me, because I'm the one who has the knowledge, and I should have, told Rich ahead of time, and he probably could have worked it into his schedule. Like, hey, Rich, if you can get all those leaves off your yard, make sure you stay on top of it so they don't get in the lawn.
No, when you tell me to do something, I go ahead and do it. I do have a challenging schedule.
Right.
Sometimes, 12 to 14 hours a day is a normal schedule for me.
Right.
So I have 3 boys, but they're young, so I just have to show them what to do. And,
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes it's difficult when you're gone all day, and
Yeah.
it's dark when you leave and dark when you come home. So
Yeah. So like I said, it's just that it's not that Rich doesn't care. It's just that Rich is learning as he goes, right? So I taught him something, right? Basically by saying that, like, hey, Rich, this amount of leaves on your lawn is bad. But then again, I take the blame for it because I'm the one with all the knowledge. I should have told him ahead of time, hey, you're going to have some leaves fall in here because you live in a very woodlanded area, so it's very important they get those leaves up so that they don't suffocate things out. Luckily, he did get them off in time, and
I did. It took like 3 hours, but I did it.
Yeah, but luckily the lawn still looks great.
You know what? And when I blow those leaves off, oh my gosh, it looked great. Now some leaves have blown over, but they're not the leaves that are stuck to the mud, in those bare spots. So those bare spots are clear now.
Right.
And if they have leaves over, it's just a leaf that's going to blow away.
Yeah. So was it I'm going to ask you a question right now. Was it looking double dark? Do you know what I mean by
double dark?
Was it looking like extra dark green?
The grass?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's definitely a lot greener than it was. Or every day it's getting a little greener.
Oh yeah, for sure. Especially now that we got that Milorganite on it. That Milorganite, which is an organic slow-release fertilizer, it's going to slowly start getting into the soil and kicking up microbes and feeding the soil and feeding the lawn and all those things as we gradually progress here through the spring. So it's going to be interesting to watch how this lawn wakes up and how it responds. Let's see what else we got here. Ruben Ponce Jr. I planted fescue a few years back, and it is coming in clumps. Is that normal? Thinking of planting some Bermuda grass seed over that. will that take over the fescue? Unfortunately, yes, Ruben Ponce. And as far as a grass type like tall fescue and Bermuda grass, unfortunately, they are not going to get along very well. Now, let me explain why. A couple reasons here. Number one, Bermuda is a warm season grass, and number two, fescue is a cool season grass. So they're going to thrive in different weather climates. So Bermuda is gonna be in its prime all the way throughout the summer, whereas cool season grass like fescue is going to be in its prime in the spring and fall. So because of that, you're going to notice some different color variations throughout the year. Like maybe the fescue will be green in the spring and fall months, while the Bermuda is still in a dormant state. So you're going to have that patchy look. Or even in the summer, it might be the other way around if you're not able to manage your irrigation. And so that's one problem you got to face. And then another one you have to face, especially with Bermuda, is that Bermuda is like the jock of the group. Bermuda takes over everything. If you feed it even the littlest bit of nitrogen, it's just going to creep over everything. It's going to creep over that fescue you have in there. And just having those two grass types in there, it's manageable, but it's not going to look good. Especially when Bermuda does good at a very low cut, whereas fescue does good at a high cut. If you're cutting them in between, they're still not going to look very good together. So to answer your question there, seeding with Bermuda, if you primarily want fescue, that's not a good idea. Just make sure that you seed more with some fescue in the fall if you want to. And then in the meantime, you could just, encourage what's there with proper mowing and fertilization like I talk about. Again, fescue, mow tall, and fertilize monthly, and you should be fine. Now, if you do want to do Bermuda, then you're going to have to kill off the fescue and go ahead and seed Bermuda. But again, that's entirely up to you and what you want to do, Ruben. Rich, what are your thoughts on Jake's plan for your yard?
I don't know what the future of what it is. I mean, he comes out and he tells me I'm going to fertilize at this point, you need to water or you need to do this, and I just follow it. It's I think it's great.
Yeah.
It's like having your personal lawn manager.
Right.
It's awesome.
It's like having your own superintendent.
Yes.
Here's another thing that I love about these people, right? They work bizarre work schedules. Like they're busy all the time. They still listen. I told them from day one when we first came here and seeded it. I told them, if you can water this every day, if you can't, make sure you're watering at least once a week. These guys got it done. They watered the lawn every day.
Yeah.
Every day for 30 days, 3 times a day, 20 minutes each time. And I'm telling you, the lawn came in beautifully.
Yes.
The fact that you guys stuck to it, you watered it every day. There were no off days for you. I take my hat off to you.
Oh, you did all the work, Jake.
I mean, I did all the work. No, here's the thing. I do all the work, but it's the commitment. It's the commitment that you have to follow through with, right? Because I do all the work for one day, but the only way I'm going to get the return on my investment is if the homeowner stays committed. And you did. And because of that, I thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate
Now the lawn looks beautiful.
We appreciate it.
And it's going to look even better going into the fall.
Every day.
All right, what do we got here? So temps are higher. Forgot how much prodiamine I need to apply to my grass here in Massachusetts. Now, Plateau, Demetriatis, it depends on the product you're using. They will give you specific labels. Like for instance, the one that I recommend from Do My Own, we recommend you apply that at 5 pounds per thousand. I believe that'll give you about 4 to 5 months of residual, and then going through the summer and into the fall, that's a great time to go ahead and overseed as that pre-emergent wears off to introduce some more cultivars into the lawn. That way you're kind of keeping a year-long barrier to prevent crabgrass. Number one, you have that pre-emergent in the spring that gives you a barrier through the spring, throughout the summer, and then as we get into the fall, you culturally block any chances of crabgrass coming in because of the fact that you're seeding and you're adding more cultivars in there and you're shading out the soil, which is blocking out any sunlight that can lead to any weeds. So that's a good thing. What else we got here? Army football. Is it possible to buy Tenacity in a small pre-mixed bottle? If so, where? All I see are $60 containers that have to be mixed with water. Thanks. Army football, I'm not really sure, but my buddy Aiden can go ahead and leave a link to domyown.com where you can get liquid Tenacity and mix it up. Now, if you're a beginner, I do recommend that you use the Scott's product that contains active ingredient methotrone. I don't have a link for that tonight, but basically if you go to if you go to any Home Depot, Lowe's, or Menards and you look in the Scott section, anything that contains active ingredient methotryon, that'll be just fine. That'll be just fine for you. Whichever question I was, Army football. Just go to the store and see what you got. If it contains active ingredient methotryon, then that'll be just fine for Tenacity. All right, let's see. We're moving through.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, Jake, I split seeded 2 weeks ago. Can I add some next 002 to the lawn and seedlings without doing damage? Mikey, as I say with 002 and really all of the next products, when in doubt, put it down. It's only going to help. Especially the microgreen, because the microgreen has all of those. The microgreen is best known to give you a little iron boost as well as a little bit of potassium in there to help with the cell structure in the plant. And then you also get the benefit of getting all of the micros to fill in the gaps to help any macros that are in the soil perform better. So putting down the microgreen, for lack of a better word, to answer your question, put down the microgreen. It's only going to help. Eric Von Whittle, Alan's watching Game of Thrones marathon. That's funny, Alan. Pop Music 42. Rich, does your son show an interest in lawn care after pushing that spreader?
He does. He follows Jake every time he comes over.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, as soon as Jake comes over, he's right at his side, helping him out. So, yeah, we'll see.
You know what's funny? We actually did mention it in the video. Did Max pitch in with the watering?
Oh, yeah.
He did?
He did. As small as he is, yeah, he moved the sprinklers around. I could tell him, hey, put it over there. Yep, and he did that.
That's awesome. That's what I love about him. We're teaching him commitment at a young age, and if you can do that, especially in the long term, you're good. All right. Upstate New York, soil temperatures mid-40s. Do you recommend 50 to throw down to build that barrier of pre-emergent? Josh Smith, yes, I do. In fact, like I said, back to the leading up approach, go on the Greencast tool and see when temperatures will average around 55. And again, we do that checking the 5-year average on the Greencast tool. It'll tell you like, okay, so in the past 5 years, this is when my soil temperatures would typically hit 55. And the way you do that is to go to the Greencast tool, go back to last year, the same time last year, and then keep going later and later until you find that date. And then what you do is you go out and you get a physical reading of what the lawn looks like with the soil thermometer, stick it in the ground in the middle of the day, and if soil temperatures are peaking 50 to 55 degrees, and they're doing that about at most 3 weeks before your pre-emergent application, then the window's opening and you're good to apply. I hope that answers your question, Josh. Plateau Demetriadis, prodiamine is granular from Do My Own. Yes, it is. Now, there are some liquid options if you want. I will supply links for that next time. I will take that into consideration. If you want, though, you can do a little bit of searching on Do My Own, and they do have the prodiamine 65W at DG, the wet dispersible granule. Josh Smith, my friend in the Aerodax says cedar oil is king to get rid of ticks and ants. Is that true? I believe Silverback could answer that question, but he's not here with us at the moment. Believe me, he's the man to talk to when it comes to pest control. Can you get stripes without using a kit? Yes, you can. Now keep in mind, because you don't have a kit helping you lay the blades over, you're going to have to go over it multiple times in order to get true definition in your stripe. Inspiration is my middle name says, how tall do you cut for the first cut of the season? Now, it depends on the grass type. I typically like to start a little lower than normal. Now, if we're talking about finer grass types or, less rigid grass types like bluegrass and rye, I typically like to start somewhere around 2.5 inches just to kind of get any of the dead stuff out of there that's been in there over winter to make room for the new growth that's coming in. And as we progress to the spring, I'll probably do that cut at 2.5 inches 3 times, and then from there, as we progress later and later throughout the year, I'll slowly start to raise it as we near the summertime. And then once we get to the summertime, I'll get to about 3.5 inches, which is ideal for bluegrass. And I'll cut it every 2 days to maintain that extra tight look that comes with bluegrass. And as far as a grass type that's very rigid like fescue, they require to be mowed taller. So about 3 inches is where you want to be for your first cut. And then you want to do that 3 times. And kind of like I said with bluegrass, but you want to be a 1/2 inch higher. And basically, once you get to summertime, late spring and into summertime, you're going to be in the 3.5 range, 3.75, and then finally as high as your mower can go, hopefully 4 inches, because that is why they call it tall fescue. You want to mow it as tall as 4 inches. So I hope that answers your question, Inspiration. Hope that answers it. Where's the fire? Oh, Josh Smith. Very sorry about that. When I was talking with Rich, we were originally going to do this out on the barbecue, which I thought would have been nice. Probably would have got a little bit of a sunset background out there with a little fire, but because of how windy it is, right, it wasn't going to work with the audio. So I prefer audio over visuals when I don't have a choice.
Oops.
That's okay. About 10 more minutes and we'll be off. Oh, here's one for you. Mike R., question for Rich. Do you have plans for taking over the lawn care for your property, or will you hire landscapers?
I'll do as much as I can. Are you talking about the actual lawn or the bushes, the actual landscaping of the yard?
Yeah, I think that's what we mean, because here's something very interesting. Rich has actually been doing a lot of tree work out here and some landscaping.
Yes.
Would you like to go ahead and tell him a little bit about that?
So outside of the grass, there's a lot of forest and a lot of dead, I want to say branches, but they're bigger than branches. So I've been trying to clear that because I want to, as we talked earlier, I want to push the yard out more. So I have to pick all that stuff up, the brush, the leaves, all that stuff.
All right.
Where was I at?
You were talking about how you want to extend a portion.
So yeah, so we want to push the grass out to get a little bit more of a yard.
Right.
So as far as the yard, I'm going to take care of that. I actually plan on doing it tomorrow. I want to blow the leaves back and see what's under there. I have to get there's still a lot of trees that we cut down, so I have to get a stump grinder.
Yeah.
Get rid of a lot of the stumps to clear the, to get the ground to where it needs to be to seed.
Right.
And then I'll probably talk to you again to see what I need to do to get that. And that's the grass part.
Right.
As far as the landscaping, the front's pretty much kind of done. The backyard, that's a totally different story. I have to figure out. My wife has to figure out probably what we're gonna do, and then go from there. I don't know if I'll hire somebody or I'll do it myself, but we have to come up with that scheme first of what we're gonna do, and then go from there.
Yeah, so this is perfect because this is something I wanted to talk to you about. Do you plan on doing any beds around that pool?
Beds would
like landscaping beds, like mulch and maybe some bushes?
Yes, for sure.
Good, because I was actually talking with Alan about a couple weeks ago about possibly seeding back there, and he was telling me how I might not want to do that because if it's going to be a muddy mess back there because of the pool and no division, between that pavement, things can just get ugly. So if we have some division between that and we don't have a lot of foot traffic, especially within the first 30 days of that seed growing and establishing, then that's something we could probably pull off. But we have to see what the conditions are first. Because like I said, I would like to take that project on. I would like to finish off the lawn. But if it's too severe, I don't know if I'll be able to. But again, we'll work that out this year. We'll see what the details are.
Sure.
And then we'll get back on that. Let's see what kind of questions we got here now. A lot of similar questions. Any website that you can recommend to buy northern types of seeds? Example, Kentucky bluegrass. Yes, in fact, Aiden, we will talk about this next time when you're on, and that is going to be Seed Superstore. Seed Superstore it's a really great place to get any grass seed for any situation, warm or cool season. And what I like about it is that the guy Drew over there, he's a super cool guy. You can call him up and he'll answer the phone, and you can just talk to him about your situation, and then he'll send you seed made for your situation. So if you tell him like, hey, I got a very shady area over here, it gets about 4 hours of sun a day, as well as a sunny area here, 75%, 20% shade, he'll get you the seed for that. So especially if you tell him things like, okay, I have problems with foot traffic, I have problems with fungus, what's the best, most resilient type of grass for that? He'll hook you up with the right seed. So if you're looking for a boutique seed supplier that's going to hook you up with seed made for your situation, which by the way, if you do that on your first run seeding, you're going to have a better lawn in the long run because you're getting cultivars that are made specifically for your situation. So if you're going to do that, Seed Superstore is the way to go. Now, kind of a last minute recommendation here, but Aiden, if you're watching this, can you leave a link to www.seedsuperstore.com, seedsuperstore.com. That's right, Seed Superstore, SeedSuperstore.com. That's a company that Alan and I worked with when we first did the seeding here. Now, great company all around, just great people. Go support my guys over there. Where are we at here? Oh, this is a great one. Is Rich going to put in an in-ground sprinkler system at some point? It makes life a lot easier.
Yeah. And it's very expensive.
Yeah, it is.
I haven't decided on that yet. It's going to make things easier, but right now I don't know. It's definitely an option we're looking into, but I don't know yet. I haven't even got any quotes or anything, but it's something to think about. Yes.
Yeah, that would be great, because then you wouldn't have to water it every day. But then that's another thing, because we've already put in all this work. We've got the lawn to where it's
We're going to
at.
tear it up.
Exactly. We're going to tear up sections of it.
Yeah.
And it'd have to be sometime in the late summer so we can recover it in the fall.
Yeah.
But yeah, if we did do that, it'd be something we'd have to time to do this summer. But it's not something we're going to do anytime soon, because they're pretty much on point with the watering, right?
Yeah.
It's
we're
not
good
a
with the
problem.
water. And the backyard's not done yet, so if I did do something like that, I would do it all at once.
Yeah.
So until the backyard's done, yeah, it's not an option yet.
Right. So yeah, that would be, like I said, that would be interesting. Jake, are you in school? What do you do? Yes. Arvnot 111. I am a junior in high school. I got about another year and a half left, and then I'm hoping to, go full time with my lawn care business eventually, and then in the long term, I want to do this full time. I want to create videos educating people about lawns, because it's really something I enjoy doing. It's therapeutic for me. I love talking to a camera, and I love sharing something I'm passionate about. So that's what I do now, and that's what I look forward to doing in the future. Josh Smith, Jake, I like the personality. Thank you and LCN due to following your advice. I have all the neighbors giving me mad props for the dark, thick, weedless lawn. Thanks, brother. Keep rocking like Hulkamania. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. All right, let's see what else we got here. Why didn't you go with starter fertilizer on Rich's lawn? This is a great question. I actually addressed this in last week's video where I did the LCN lawn revival. And the reason we didn't do that is because we gave this lawn plenty of nutrients when we first started. In fact, we gave it over 1.5 pounds of nitrogen. And because of that, it looked really good going into winter and coming out. So because of that, we really didn't need to give it that jump start boost that we would typically give it. We just gave it Milorganite that'll slowly feed it as we go on. Now, if we're dealing with a lawn that hasn't been properly fed in 3 to 4 years and it hasn't been fed properly, and you're starting in the spring, a good thing to do is to put down some starter fertilizer, as it will give you the benefit of giving you that jump start and giving you the 3 main elements, the N, the P, the K, to give you that jump start that you want. So that's something to think about. Again, the product I choose is going to vary based on the situation I'm dealing with. If I had enough nutrients the previous year, then I might use it. Whereas if I didn't, I might use starter fertilizer. Again, you get the idea. Rich looks real strong. Is he working out in the lawn?
It's funny you say that. I am on the lawn and outside in the gym. But thank you.
That's funny. Lawn journal is getting thick. Lawn journal is getting thick. I do daily writings and observations, and what I do to the lawns thanks to your advice. Josh Smith, that is awesome, man. Keep doing what you're doing. The more you observe and the more you understand your land and what's going on, the more advanced and the more better you're going to become in the long term. So, props to you, brother. Josh Smith, Smith again. Do you prefer overseeding and dormant seeding during fall and winter to switch it up every other year? No, I do fall seeding every year. Dormant seeding, I know that's when you put down seed before the snow and you let the snow kind of bury the seed in and water it in. That's not something I've tried before, and it's not something I'm looking to try. Maybe in a small area in my yard, but it's not something I recommend because I haven't tried it. But definitely aerate and overseed in the first week of September if you live in an area like I do, or if you're a little further south, the second or third week. Stick with that fall overseed and aeration. You'll be fine. Every year. Chad Fleming, Josh Smith. I use cedar side and it works great for any hard shell insects, fleas, ticks, Japanese beetles, etc. Oh, great question, Rich. How's the pool coming along?
Pool's coming along great. It's getting filled right now. So it's got another, I'd say another 2 feet, and then shut the water off, and then just wait for them to come back out and put the chemicals in it, and for it to warm up.
Yeah, you did come a long way since the last time I was here. When I showed it to you guys, there was no liner in there. It was stripped. Now he's got the liner in there, and the pool's already halfway full. It's crazy how fast people move. Grant Lucan, hey Jake, just joined. Who is the person next to you? This is Rich Bisaga. He's the owner of the Project Lawn here that I'm doing with Alan for the 2018-2019 lawn season. So for those of you guys who don't know Rich, we've actually talked about this earlier. If you're new to the stream here or just coming in, Rich went to school with my dad.
Silverback.
Yeah, Silverback Gorilla. They went to school. They've been going to school together since grade school, and they worked on a golf course together. They were both superintendents, and from there, Rich became my godfather. So now here I am. Now that's how we know each other. PA Boots, have you ever used the Still Bed Redefiner? Debating on buying or renting one. Any suggestions? No, I haven't, PA Boots, but I'm sure there's some pros in here that might want to help you if they're here. I know my buddy RVA Lawn Love. I don't know if he's a pro or not, but anyway, any pros in here? If you want to help my friend PA Boots out, that would be great. Much appreciated. Eric Whitmer, I have fungus popping up in my wet backyard and around my landscaping. What do you suggest to get rid of it and keep it out? Well, if this is your first year, you can get away with using a class 3 fungicide like propiconazole. It's basically the liquid product I recommend you, or you can get granular at the store, but I do recommend that you get the liquid propiconazole from Do My Own. Aiden, if you could link to propiconazole 14.3% on domyown.com, that'd be much appreciated. You can get away with using that product in your first year as your lawn has never been exposed to that before, so that'll kind of help subside it. But then after the first year, you might want to consider a fungal rotation program, because eventually what's going to happen as time goes on, your lawn is going to start to develop a tolerance for the product, and because of that, the disease can actually mutate around it and build some resiliency. It's kind of like when you drink coffee for a long time, which is actually why I don't drink coffee on a regular basis, is because when you drink coffee, it stops some receptors in your body to keep you awake, and the more you do it, the more your body kind of develops a tolerance for it, and the more coffee you have to drink. It's the same with the lawn, right? The more you use the same fungicide time after time after time, then the more resilient, then the more the lawn is going to mutate around it and develop some resiliency. So a way to avoid that problem
7
is
o'clock.
just to, yeah, man, 7 o'clock.
Yeah,
You gotta go somewhere?
yeah,
Silverback?
yeah.
Where are you going?
I'm going out to get something to eat.
You want to join us for a few minutes?
Couple minutes.
Silverback has just joined us.
Yeah.
I am back.
What's up, Max? All right, so real quick, as I was saying, the best way to get around that mutation is to go on a fungicide rotation plan. So you start off with like a class 3 and a class 11 applied together, and then maybe 3 to 4 weeks later you apply a class 3. Now, if you want to learn a little bit more about that, I'll be doing videos all about it as we go throughout the year at my own house. So stay tuned for that coming up. So yeah, guys, Silverback's here if you guys want to ask any questions about pest control.
You got about 5 minutes.
All right, 5 minutes. If you guys have any questions about pest control, ask him now. He's got 5 minutes and he's got to be out of here. And then I think I'm going to shut this off too because we're past 7 o'clock. Will you guys ever do a southern project lawn? Maybe, now that I'm old enough to fly, but that'll be maybe in another year or so. William Martell, Jake, my backyard was overseeded last year with GCI turf type golf fescue, has a large amount of winter annual rye, a quackgrass filling up about a quarter of the backyard. Anything I could do besides nuke it? I would just let it go right now, especially if you're in the transition zone. Any annual ryegrass or bluegrass that's in there should probably diminish as we get more heat in the forecast, because that's typically what those grasses prime around is when we get warmer temperatures, they'll kind of start to diminish. Chad Fleming. Oh, here we go.
Oh.
Rich.
Yes.
Rich, did you go salt water for the pool? I switched and it's awesome. Super low maintenance. Makes it.
It's funny. It's funny you say that because we went chlorine, and neighbors or some people we know have said that they started with chlorine and now they have salt water. We asked the company that we went through about going with salt water instead of chlorine, and they recommended chlorine. So we went to chlorine, and if we have to change over, the good thing is if we have to change over to salt water, it's not that it's not a huge deal. It's not a deal breaker at that. So we'll go from there when it comes. I don't know why you're laughing.
I'm not.
You got salt water in your pool? What do you got?
No.
What's in your pool? You
I
want to
got
go
chlorine. No.
Okay, there you go.
Chlorine. It's all good.
Thanks, Aiden, for the link. I
You have
appreciate
any
it.
problems with chlorine?
No.
See?
No. What? What?
Organic fertilizer promotes bug worm growth in the lawn to help the soil. Doesn't killing pests hurt the benefits of organic fertilizer? Milo, Ringer, Lawn Restore, etc. No, I believe you should be fine.
There was a question earlier about ticks, and now that Silverback's here, maybe he can answer that.
Oh yeah, that's like far back up here though.
So what are your thoughts on ticks? What was it, ticks and mosquitoes?
He doesn't work with ticks, right?
I mean, what was the question though? I mean, some of them carry Lyme disease. I mean,
how do you get rid of them? What's the
Oh.
best preventative? How do you not get ticks in your house or on your dog? As I have
really?
Stella
Well,
here,
you have a forest around your.
right?
There's no way you're going to prevent them from coming
So there's
off
nothing.
a tree. No.
There's no
No.
preventative.
Well, you could have
That's
the
what I'm
flea-
asking.
the flea and tick collar for
Yes.
your dog. That's it.
Oh, here's a good one. Silverback. How is Tall Star P for mosquito spray and lawn orange? Have you ever used Tall Star?
Telstar?
Yeah.
Yeah, Telstar works pretty good. Are you talking granular or liquid formulation?
Yeah, Jeff.
Stella.
Gotta wait for that. Here's if you guys want to tell any stories about working on the golf course, now's the time because I've told you guys a little bit about that. They worked on a golf course. Do they recall using Milorganite?
No.
No, we
that was many moons ago.
We never made decisions on what to. Yeah, he just said.
So
hey,
that's why
go
you don't know
go
much.
spread the green. Right.
Yeah, right. So we were in charge of cutting greens. We were in charge of trimming around trees, trimming trees. You know, when I worked on the golf course in college, we built like tees and greens and sand traps, but I never was involved with treatment of the grass or course. No, Stella's the dog.
Stella's our golden retriever.
These guys.
What?
Rich, that was to sell you more chlorine.
Oh, good. Okay.
All right. Jake, I have 2 big trees in my backyard cut down. What can I do about the roots that have grown through the yard? It's silverback, stink bugs. How do I get rid of them?
Stink bugs. You know, there is a method. It might work. You take a bottle of just your regular, everyday, empty spray bottle, put soapy water in it, and spray around your thresholds, and that'll act as a barrier treatment. Try that.
So you're using what they hate, and that is like fresh smell.
No, it's just a soapy substance that you just spray on the thresholds.
Okay. Ever used a lawnmower to get the ground really flat? No, I haven't. But to answer your question about the tree roots, I don't really know anything else you can do besides pull them and then fill the dented areas back in with some soil, and then just work on the bare areas by filling them in with proper mowing and fertilization, and whatever doesn't fill in, just go ahead and aerate and overseed in the fall, and you should be fine. Oh yeah, Jeff said liquid for the Tall Star.
Yeah, it works good. But you want to make sure it's not raining. You want to make sure it's a good forecast, and treatment needs to be dry for whatever how many days you're going to treat. Because the minute it rains, it'll have runoff.
Right. So kind of like when we talk about fertilizing or spraying weed control, or really any liquid lawn product, you don't want to put it down right before a thunderstorm, as things will kind of wash away, and then you'll lose your entire application, if not some efficacy that we really need.
Now, if it is raining, you could go with the granular treatment, and that'll activate with the water.
Oh, here's a good one, but this is more for me. Hey Jake, I'm seeing light neon green grass in my lawn in areas I reseeded with Kentucky 31 turf type tall fescue. Is this natural color or do I have a soil issue? Well, if you do have tall fescue in your yard as your typical grass type and you're using Kentucky 32, which is mirrored to look like a tall fescue lawn, or I'm confusing myself here. So Kentucky 31 is basically a bluegrass that's blended to mirror the look of a fescue lawn, and because of that, it's not going to be as dark. So you're going to notice some bright areas if you do have some Kentucky 31 in there. Now, the best thing to do for that, if you don't like it, is possibly glyphosate it out and then just rake out the areas and then seed it in the fall, or as I would recommend, maybe just culturally thin it out. Culturally outcompete it by just overseeding more and more fescue as time goes on, but there's not really much you can do about it if you're not willing to go over the top. Shane?
Couple more.
Alright, couple more. Listen, we got 3 more.
Take some?
Yeah, I'm hungry. Hey, Stella, sit down.
Well, here's the thing. I really don't have any more questions for Silverback, so no, because nobody's asking. Everybody's asking about lawn care right now.
No, that's fine.
So if I'm holding you up and you just want to go.
Well, how are you gonna get home?
Oh, that's right. I gotta come with you.
Good job.
Shoot.
I can drop one.
Yeah, you guys made food and everything for me too.
I made snacks. I don't know what if she's making something or not.
Yeah,
No,
she
you
made
came
some.
home with all this food, right?
Well,
For after the stream, so I can hang out for a bit if you want to go.
you're driving me crazy. You always do this. You have to stop at a time. We go through 3 hours.
All right. Anyway, listen. Because of that, I'm gonna go ahead and cut it off here. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Again, if you're new here, I post live shows like this every Friday night, as well as a new video every Sunday, every Saturday or Sunday, or sometimes both days. So make sure you stay tuned for videos coming Sunday. And with that, I'm Jake the Lawn Kid. Thank you for watching. I will see you guys next time. If I don't see you guys
Thank you
next
so
time,
much for all you've done for the yard. I
You're
appreciate
welcome.
it. Yes. And for having us on the show.
Silverback out.
All right, guys.
Thank you.
Saga out.
We'll see you this Sunday with a new video.
Saga
Sorry to
out.
end it so late.